Hey, it's Kevin DeWitt here, and welcome to another plugin knowledge session. In this session, we're going to check out the PSP InfiniStrip Fire Edition. Firstly, if you are new to my videos and new to my channel and you like what you see, please click the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos. So PSP InfiniStrip Fire Edition, at the time of recording this is a brand new version that is being released right now, and it will include two additional modules. Both of them are technically limiters. One is a Brickwall limiter and one is a saturator. So the Brickwall limiter, as described, is basically a Brickwall limiter. Okay, so great for putting at the end of a chain or anything like that, just to guarantee that signals do not go above a certain ceiling. Now the saturator module is, again, it's a limiter, but it also includes some saturation type effects there with valve types, tape types, and some clipping options there. So you can add some of that analog type emulation, warmth, saturation, whatever you want to call it, and do that to taste with the addition of the limiting function. So from what I've been told, if you are a current owner of a PSP InfiniStrip, the Fire Edition will be free for you to download, I assume from your account on the PSP website. So definitely go and grab that if you're a current owner. If you are not, and this is going to encourage you to do that, then at the time of this recording, for a limited time, not sure how long, it is going to be on sale for 25% off. So go and check it out now if you want to get it for a discounted price. So this video is going to cover the two additional modules. I'm not going to go over the other parts of the PSP InfiniStrip again. If you want to check out that stuff, then check out some of my other videos. I'll link one at the end of this video as well, just so you can go back and check out the my take and explanation of all the other modules and show it being used in mixes, etc. So let's just get into it. I'll show you the two new modules and see what you think. All right, so we're in Cubase here, and this is a previous mix that I did in a video where I mixed the entire song using the PSP InfiniStrip. So we've got the new version sitting here and open, and you can see it's got this little fire symbol. So I'm assuming that indicates the new version. And the obvious thing is the new modules. So, okay, so if we open it up to, say, the full screen mode here, so what you'll see is these new modules are available in the Insert X and Insert Y, right? So because they're available to any of the plugins, but where they also are is under the limiters. So these are two limiter types, basically, Brickwall and Saturator. And in theory, we should be able to just switch between them as well. And I'm curious to what the settings do. So if we switch down to there, or we switch to the saturator, I'm assuming it's keeping the same settings as much as it can between the various areas. So since it's a limiter, it's a perfect thing to look at here. So let's talk about the first one here, which is a brick wall. So prior to this version, we had the opto limiter and we had the VCA limiter. So now we've got the addition of the brick wall and the saturator. Okay, so the brick wall, very similar to the other ones here. We've got a gain reduction meter up at the top. We've got a mode control here, which I will sort of explain it from the manual. So there's three modes in the mode control here, and what they are, I'll read them from the manual just so I'm very clear with what they are. But basically what it says is the mode rotary switch selects the time characteristics of the release. Three modes are available, resulting in different release phase behavior. So mode 1 begins with a fast release, and it increases over time, which is supposed to result in optimal results for most tracks. Okay, so I guess mode 1 is your general mode. That's what you're going to use most of the time. Well, that's what they recommend you use most of the time. So mode 2 has a prolonged initial release phase, which seriously reduces the amount of distortion. However, it also seriously dampens transients and exaggerates the late release of drums. Mode 3 is a variant of mode 2 with a slightly shorter initial release time and smoother transient into later release phase. Right, so I guess we'll try those out and see if we can hear the difference there. We've got our release knob as well, so I guess this goes hand in hand with our release. So, we've got a release here that's 10 milliseconds up to 1K. And then we've got our ceiling control here. So we're going to set our level. At the moment, I've got it set to -1 just because I've treated this, I guess, like a mastering plugin on the mix bus. And that's where I wanted to sort of master my level 2 at -1. When I say master, not a full mastering, but just a, quick and dirty, get it up loud sort of thing. Then we have an output control, which if you were using this for mastering to get to -1 or something like that, then you wouldn't use the output control because that's going to boost or it's going to change that value. But if you were just using this as a limiter to control the peaks, etc. of an instrument and not so much as a mastering tool, then you could use the ceiling to reduce the peaks and use the output to boost it back up to normal level. So the link button here provides a way to equal limiting to the left and right channels when processing a stereo track or a bus. Okay, so with it off, it will limit the left and right channels differently. And when you turn it on, it will basically, if it hears a peak on the right channel or the left channel, it will pull down both the left and right channel equally to, to limit that peak. With it off, it will actually just independently limit the left or right channel, whichever side had that peak at the time, to sort of smoothen the level out. But that can impact your stereo placement at times. And the soft switch here enables a soft knee style limiting. So you just like every other compressor, you get that soft knee, which is more of a rounded knee instead of a sharp sort of corner between where it's limiting and not limiting. So it sort of smooths it out and becomes a little bit more transparent, supposedly. All right, so let's have a play with that now. So we'll start off with it bypassed. Now, as I said, we're basically using the settings that I had previously. We just switched to this module, so we'll see what it does. All right, so you can see we've got some gain reduction there. So with the limiter off, we've got some overs here. They're peaking. Turn the limiter on. We should stop peaking because we should be just hitting -1 at the most. Now if we link the two together, we won't hear much. It depends on your balance of your mix. All right, so what we could do is we could limit very extreme. You can hear that distortion coming in there. We would obviously never do that, but I just want to try and make it a little bit more obvious what we're hearing here. So we get how more the distortion there. That's with a softening. Now the thing with the softening is it usually appears to be that you're doing more compression or more limiting. And that's because the curve or the knee where it changes from limiting and not limiting is a curve instead of being a sharp angle, you naturally start limiting earlier now. But you gradually limit more as you're going, but it starts earlier. So you actually sort of start limiting a bit heavier in a way, but just not as drastic a on and off type thing. So you can obviously see there, it's not releasing very fast now with the release switched. We can go really fast. Now again, keep in mind, I am destroying this song right now. I would never do this. Let's back it off. We really shouldn't go that much. Now, even that's too much, but it'll do for now. So you can hear an annoying pumping there when I get to that point. It's coming in and out, very distracting. Even though it's doing a bit. So you can see the difference that's happening on the meter there. This one definitely is a lot faster. So mode 2 was supposed to impact transients a bit more. I wonder if I'm just, we'll see if we hear that. So it's pretty subtle, but that's where I would have it anyway. Again, we've got various presets. You know, you've got all your presets that are in the main menu there, but you've also got presets here just for the limiters. But it's not specific to this one limiter. it is across the board. So let's just, with these settings like this, okay, let's flick to the other ones, not the saturator, we'll go to the other types. Okay, so here's the brick wall. VCA. That optimum really squashes the transients. So I can hear the transients come back there, but not as much as the VCA. The drums are way more present in this one, the VCA limiter. Yeah, but there you go. That's the Brickwall limiter. That's, you know, that's probably most likely where you're going to put a Brickwall limiter is on the end there. But again, with everything, there's no reason why you couldn't use it on an individual instrument if you so choose. You know, you could, in theory, jump over to yeah, let's go with the snare. So if we added, all right, if we wanted to get a lot of sort of limiting, all right, that's off. Now, obviously the link button's gone because we're in mono now. You know, actually what I might do is, because that is a bit annoying to listen to, let's put it on the drum bus. So let's just have a look at the actual drums. So, okay, we've got compressors, everything else, but let's chuck the Brickwall limiter on. All right, let's turn that off for a moment. So you could squash it. Need more distortion on mode 3. Then you could crush it. Okay, let's get back to a realistic now. This is more likely what I'm going to would be doing if I was going to use a limiter in this part. Be wanting to take some peaks off, just to control the drums, bring down the peaks, basically not let them go beyond the brick wall. Now in this case here, we're not really trying to target a level. I'm using the ceiling to determine how much limiting I'm going to do, but then I would compensate by bringing up the output so that I get the level that I want. Now, as the case here, I'd like to level match. Okay, so that's our drums without. Alright, brings it up. Would stand out a lot more in the mix, but also brings up a lot of the room, so it depends what you want to go for. You could obviously go a lot subtle in this. If you wanted just tiny little bit of control, just to make sure there was not any real major peaks, then you'd probably just want this meter just moving a little bit. Just going to tighten your drums up, not let things get out of control. All right, let's move on and check out the saturator. So we'll go in reverse this time. So we'll actually leave it on the drum bus and we'll move over. Now, the same sort of settings apply here, but obviously it's a very different plugin here. But we've still got a ceiling, still got outputs and soft and link, right? That sort of stuff. And what we've got is we've got our gain reduction meter here. Different look and feel here. There's no numbers, I don't think. We'll see when we actually start playing. Okay, so I will explain these again from the manual. So we've got the smooth control here. Okay, so the smooth control adjusts the saturation smoothing factor from 0 to 100%. 0 results in the most sharp digital-like saturation with a considerable amount of aliasing artifacts when combined with sharp shape selections. Okay, so it's going to play hand in hand. These two controls are going to go hand in hand again. 100% is the smoother saturation resembling classy analog equipment, and the 50% value is a typical value advised as a starting point for further tuning, right? So 50% is where you should start. 100% if you want that analog saturation style, and 0 if you want to get more of a digital type clipping saturation effect, I guess. All right, so then we have the shape, okay, and this is a little clicky one here. All right, and what we have is various types of saturation. So it says selects the saturation curve from the smoothest and lightest one to the sharpest, strongest one. So it includes valve 1, valve 2, tape 1, tape 2, soft clip, and a hard clip. Okay, so the valve 1 and valve 2 are two wide and soft saturation curves, which may be used for a slight coloration. Tape 1 and tape 2, which may be used for a typical saturation with the intention of a moderate peak rounding, and the results may resemble tape distortion. Soft clip, which is a slightly rounded clipping, which may do the job whenever an ordinary clipping is needed, but a digital clipping would be just too much. And I'm guessing a hard clip is basically the opposite, which would be a digital clipping type thing where we're going to extremes. Our ceiling control, same as what I said before, works exactly the same as the other limiters. No difference there. Output knob, again, same thing, just makeup gain type arrangement. We have the link switch again, which links the left and right channels together so that the limiting happens either equally across the two channels or independently. Okay, so we have a sidechain high pass filter control here now, which goes from 0 up to 1K. So this is going to allow you to tell the detection circuit of the limiter to ignore frequencies below this value and not engage the limiter based on those frequencies. Okay, it will still limit those frequencies when it does engage, but it just won't be listening to them. I won't be looking at them. So if you get a peak in the low end, so if you were to set this to say 100 and your kick drum peaks, the limiter will not engage. It will not respond to that. But if your snare drum peaks, it will also limit your kick and your snare and everything else. Okay. We also have a soft switch here, which you would probably think means a soft knee, but no, what it says now is that this enables the alternative smoothing algorithm of the saturation with a slightly lighter transient coloration. All right, so that's interesting. We'll see what happens there. All right, well, we'll start with it off and we'll just have a play with some controls, hey? So again, as I said, we're just on the drum bus now and we'll move it over to the mix bus in a minute. Okay, so we can see the meter here. So let's bring this down. So we're not looking for real values this time. I guess we're sort of looking at it as a, how much are we sort of limiting but saturating at the same time. Now, if we take it to extremes, we've got it on hard clip at the moment. We're at 50%. If I go to 0, this is, okay, this setting here by the manual would be the most extreme of extreme saturations here, right? So we've got the hard clip, so the most extreme shape, and we've gone for 0, which is the most sharp digital-like saturation. Okay, we can round that out. So even though we're still hard clipping, we've changed that sound. Now if we go to soft, it's sort of interesting. I don't really hear any difference with the soft or hard there. Maybe that's my ears. Now, it could be that I'm not meant to be doing this and I'm pushing it beyond what it should be doing. Well, I was just trying to make it really obvious, all right? You know, I'll show a more realistic use of it in a minute, but I just wanted to give you a taste of possibly what the saturation sort of qualities are. And to do that, you need to sort of make it obvious sometimes. Okay, well, there's a huge difference there with valve 1. Valve 2 sounds a bit more distorted than valve 1. So valve 1 seems very subtle. Remember, I've still got it on the very sharpest. So tape gets a bit heavier. That's okay, you can hear that very squashed. Not as squashed. So I think these last ones here, we're getting a lot more sort of subtler. So if we go back to, say, valve 2, right, and then you could smooth it out a bit. I'll smooth it out a lot. So let's go back to 50% here, okay, and the other thing I just wanted to check was this soft switch. So let's go back to the extreme again. Not really hearing a great deal of difference there. All right, so let's do a sort of more realistic type thing here. So let's just start off with, so we'll go 50% and a valve, right? Let's back that off, back that down. So we get a bit of limiting going. So you can hear it's saturating a little bit, but not obvious distortion. You can hear it. It's pulling the snare back in a bit too. That's good. It's really bringing the drums together, I feel. But they sound good there, but they sound a little bit separated, not quite a uniform kick. Uniform kick. Not quite a uniform kit. And it just sort of adds a little bit extra life, and it just sounds like it brings them together. So if we now set the high pass, let me show you. You can watch it. You can so you can see it moving with the kick and the snare, right? So you can see the kick and the snare moving. Now if I wind this up, now I've taken it all the way up. You can see it's not responding at all because it's ignoring both the kick and the snare. It's just moving with the very, very top of the snare. And if we actually go to the monitor control, this is what it's listening to. So you can hear it's only responding to that very high bit of the snare. Now if I wind that down, so there's still a bit of kick there, but it's not the low lows of it. It's more of the beater. All right, so if we go here, right, this is off. On. See, it's responding a lot more to the kick there. So we'll just turn it off there anyway. So let's go back to something a bit more subtle. I'll go 50 and back this off because I just want to see. Let's get our level. Maybe not that low. We'll go about there. Okay, so let's switch between and we'll compare it to the other ones. That back to normal. Okay, so let's move it over to the mix bus now, and we'll have a bit of a play with it on there. Okay, so move over to the saturator. So we'll just mute it for the moment. Okay, so one thing I'm curious about is if we just set it to something like 0, okay, and so in theory, we're not really doing anything. I just want to sort of see if we pass it through it, does it have an impact or is it only when it's limiting? to switch between them again. So it's one of those ones where it doesn't, to me, it doesn't translate directly between switching between them because it functions very differently, or it does to me anyway. If I'm using a brick wall, in this case on a mix bus, I'm going to want to set my level to something, and having it set to where I sort of like it with the saturator is too much distortion and too much limiting from the other limiters. So it's definitely something I'd be using independently. And you might even say that you might, if you were going to do this like a mastering session, you may even want to double up here and sort of go with something like so, and, you know, get this to your level that you want. If it's -1, whatever it is, have that at 0. Nothing much there. You might want to link it. So we just have our Brickwall limiter here, getting our levels up. And for instance, in the case of this one here, we're actually boosting 7 dB to hit, because originally when I didn't have this here, I was boosting by 7 dB to hit the limiter and to get that volume increase into the limiter, like a mastering session. Okay, but what I could do in this case is I could put that back to 0 on the EQ there. All right, so now it's too low for the limiter, but it's green on the saturator here, right? So now what we can do is pull the ceiling down, get the saturator to where we want it to get the effect, and then boost the output on this. Push it into our limiter now. Now we can't really mute this now because we're using it for volume. Now, obviously, turning off the entire mix bus chain there, we lose a lot of volume. So anyway, that was my point there. You get some saturation. You're still getting limiting here as well. You know, so it depends how much you want. But then you can also get a final limiter on the end there. But, you know, there's many options you can do there. So there you go. There is the 2 new modules from the PSP InfiniStrip Fire Edition. As I stated, time of this recording, it is going to be on sale for 25% off. So if you are interested in this plugin, go and grab a copy now. If you already own it, then from what I've been told, you will get this version for free as just an update on their website. So go and grab a copy now so that you can have a play with it and start using the new modules. Let me know what you think of the new modules in the comments below. I'd love to hear your opinions. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments as well. Love to help wherever I can. Again, if you like what you see here, please click the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos. Hopefully this video has been helpful. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.